Welcome everybody to episode 2 of the Expat Bros. We in the building today. We have a special guest. You see him to my left, right? I don't know what the camera looking like.
Camera's going on.
But we in the building. Listen, this is one half of the Expat Bros. Hamza, the other half.
Welcome guys, it's AB. Expat Bros episode 2. Thanks for joining us again.
Yeah. I don't know the title of the episode. We'll have
figure it out as we go, man.
We'll figure it out. But we here in the building today. Before I forget, because I always forget this and you always remind me, shout out to Qatar Day in the building. You see it back here. See the branding, you know what I mean? Shout out to Musharraf. Shout out to Workington. So we have a lot of people. Shout out to the crew behind the scenes that y'all can't see. Shout out to my mama, you know what I mean? Shout out to everybody, you know what I'm saying? But we have a special guest today. Had a chance to really talk to this brother. I really just met him today. But this guy knows everybody. So, if he's a brother to you, he's brother to me, you know? But just met him today. Really enterprising young man, a lot of ideas, very intelligent, ambitious, and has grit. That's a nice redeeming quality of someone.
Thank you, man.
Yeah, you do. Now, I don't have the Shannon Sharp intros.
No, man, you actually give a good intro, bro.
But we're happy to have you.
Thank you very much, man. I appreciate you.
Mahmoud Khalifa in the
Thank you,
building.
sir.
AKA Moody's World.
Moody's World.
Moody's World, man.
Yeah, I like that. That's
Moody's World, man.
It's like a blog. Like,
we're all just a bunch of people in Moody's World, man.
Oh, man.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Moody's, it's the man, the myth, the legend, brother. Come on.
Nah, true.
Give the intro proper.
Yeah. And we need a clap in the background. I need an artificial clap somewhere in the back,
Yeah.
But no, we happy to have you, brother. How you doing today, man?
Good, man. Thank you for having me, sir. Much appreciated. Much appreciated. Abdul have actually been telling me about this since time. Yeah.
Bro,
a year plus for sure.
a year plus 100%.
Real?
2 years.
Definitely the name of the brand wasn't even established yet.
He knew when we first started the journey, and him and I follow each other on social media.
Yeah.
And he was actually one of the first people to push me towards it. He's like, do it.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah, because I wanted to be part of it.
He would be part of the journey. He would be part of the journey. So
I believe in you, Abdullah.
No, it's crazy because this guy also has other side projects.
Yes.
And mashallah, man, to have someone who's also doing his ambitions and then telling you to do yours, it's very rare.
And brother, we spoke today and we talked about kind of the courage that an entrepreneur has to have. There's several entrepreneurs who are in one category where they work a 9 to 5, but then they have a 5 to 9. But they always have that 9 to 5 to back them up.
Fair enough.
There's other group of entrepreneurs who don't have a 9 to 5 to back them up. It's a 9 to 9.
Yeah.
That's the life,
Yeah,
right?
100%.
And so those are the ones that have a lot of courage. Both of them have courage in some degree, but if you have nothing else to back you up, but your own ideas and your ambition and Allah's will, right?
True.
That's tough to say, I'm gonna have this lifestyle, pay these bills, and live out my dream at the same time. So I gotta give you your flowers,
Much appreciated.
your plants, your flowers, just for that,
Honestly, I feel like to me it happened forcefully, where I was forced into entrepreneurship. Like I did have a 9 to 5 at one point. I started off with a 9 to 5, and then as I grew in that job, somewhat, pushed me to the direction where I had to start my own thing, just because of I noticed a personality trait in me where I just didn't like to be managed, and I was just a hard-headed kid. So I honestly, it was somewhat that direction. Not necessarily managed, but just don't want someone on top of my head telling me what to do, what direction to go, not approving what I designed or what I created, kind of thing. You know what I mean? It kind of triggered my ego.
Yeah.
How did you know that though? Did you see something with other people that you knew, or did you hear or read about?
That's how I felt every time I presented something, for example, and it was rejected. Just that nasty feeling of how could you reject my work? You know what I mean? But it took me to the direction where I was okay, I want to maybe do my own thing. But I've always been a runaround type of guy. You know what I mean? Starting off, like, it wasn't really, you know, an actual job, but me and the boys would like host these amazing parties where we were kids at the time. Could be about like 15, 16. There was nothing to do in town. All we did was, let's gather everybody, hire a DJ, hire, you know, like a few bouncers, just like drop a party. And that's exactly what we did. And we'll charge everyone coming in, bro. We used to walk out like 20K at least from each party.
I believe that because it's event planning, man.
And at the time, they were like obviously nothing to do for teenagers, right? So all the teenagers from around like the city will pull up, and it will just like, but that kind of like tells you basically the direction that I was headed towards, basically. So from there, I started obviously uni, and then when you're at uni, living in Qatar, you start seeing your peers at a different level. And that's one like of the things that triggers you as a kid as well, like, because in school you're all on the same level. You know what I mean? By the time you grow up and you go to college, now your peers are pulling up in, you know, like Range Rovers and I don't know what, and you're a foreigner, bro. You don't have that kind of like access to money, so you're gonna have to make it work. So in order for you to like just sit in that circle, you're gonna have to have some sort of like something going on for you, or to even hang out with them, because they're going out to like all these nice places and spending all this kind of money. The first thing I did was, you know, get a job. It wasn't paying me much, but it was just like to manage. So yeah. And then from there, that's when I feel like that's when my love for marketing came in. I started working with Red Bull at the time, and that's when I figured like, okay, I like what they're doing. You know what I mean? The whole concept of like having a brand and the way they market it is not about like buy this product. It's about like, you know, these events and sponsored athletes and I don't know what. So
they're selling you an experience.
Exactly.
Yeah,
exactly.
Red Bull's an experience.
100%.
You spoke my language, because I know we're both in marketing and everything, but Red Bull is one of my favorite brands.
Yeah.
Just because it's never a Red Bull in their commercials or in their reels. It's really just about extreme sports, something irregular,
Selling emotion.
selling emotion, some experience. So I always love that when they don't have to have it here and talk about it. It's within what they're doing, what they're showing you. They have wings, right? They have the wings. So.
No, it's the way they do their marketing is just like
Next level. I totally agree.
Yeah, no.
So that's where like the career kind of started. And then being, you know, like at that age, working in that kind of brand, I'm always athletic, pushed me kind of towards like the fitness industry. And then from, you know, I worked in that field for about like, I'm still in that field in a sense, but in that company I worked for about 5 years, I think, 4 or 5 years. And that's where I noticed like a gap in the market. So business is all about solving problems, obviously. So I noticed that there was an issue with nutrition where we trained, you know, right after we finished work, as we worked in the gym. We'll finish work, we'll hit the gym, and then we'll eat like garbage. And obviously being single, you know what I mean, and all of that, no one to cook for you. You're gonna have to like cook for yourself. Not the best idea, because you're just, I'm better now. I can cook, just saying. But back then,
it's a life skill, guys.
It's a life hack, by the way. It's a life hack.
Definitely is, man. Definitely is. So back then it was just like, okay, so I finished my workout. The only thing you could do is like Turkish food. That's like close enough to like healthy food, or pretty much. Eventually, one thing led to another. That's where like the idea started generating, where, okay, how about, you know, we find someone that can cook and deliver everything to the gym. That's when you start putting 1 and 2 together, and eventually this little baby came up.
Elements. Yeah. That's when we first met, by the way. That's when we met, man. Remember? Through Ball and Elements. Yeah.
So from there, it just became a whole thing where as this was being built, actually, when I told you I was forced into entrepreneurship, when this was being built, I actually got fired from my job. They were cutting costs.
So, bro, it was meant to be then. It's qadr.
I guess.
It's qadr of Allah, bro.
Alhamdulillah, man, subhanallah.
We're gonna actually bring back qadr afterwards. I'm gonna talk about qadr, inshallah. Yeah. Let's do that.
So I got fired, and then to me it was just like, I can see it, you know what I mean? Like I can see this happening, but it just, like, it was never like I never saw it being like, you know, like bringing in crazy numbers, for example. In my head, obviously being at that age, my calculations to it was like, I just want 20 members. 20 members will equal to like 10K a month. You know, just simple calculation. Bro, first month, we made about, alhamdulillah, man, but just about like 90K.
MashaAllah.
I don't want the tax man on you. Don't be giving out all the numbers.
Bro,
I don't want the tax man on you. You know what I mean?
Listen, brother, the IRS will come knocking on your door.
MashaAllah, brother.
So, subhanAllah. And then, obviously, it was still like to me, one of the things that I obviously, as a young guy, I always treated it as a small business. So, in my head, and I also didn't know much about business. I was just stepping into it. So all of everything that we did was just out of passion. You know what I mean? No calculations, none of that. Like, no, let's just, straight vibes. Just straight vibes. Literally, like, hey, let's drop an event. No calculation. How much is it gonna cost us?
This guy is just, he's like, why not? Why not?
And then, because the market didn't see anything like it, there were always diet centers, but it was literally that, like clinical diet centers. No one took the fitness approach where, you know, like we're coming in with the swagger, you know what I mean? All black theme. It was just like,
it's a brand.
Yeah, it looked very aggressive. It looked very like fitness focused. So we had all of like the fitness industry just coming to us. And then from like the first month, man, you can just like see the growth. Second month, growth. Third month, it just kept on, like the ball just kept on rolling. And it was beautiful, like the way it started off, up until like obviously it grew to the point where it became an actual business. There was a team, there was like an operation, everything was set. COVID happened. Boy, that obviously took us to a completely different direction, because then it became like, now you're gonna have to show your entrepreneurial skills in solving problems. Being that young, obviously, it was like not young as in age, but like young in business. It was like, okay, what do I do now? There was no solution. There was no playbook for COVID. Like whoever that managed to survive COVID as an entrepreneur, honestly, props, because there was no playbook. You can open any business book. There was no such thing as, in case of, you know, pandemic, here's what you should do. It was just, so everything shut down. Gyms, fitness facilities, our biggest clients basically are no longer there. So if I'm not training, I'm not about to go on a diet. Okay, so that's the first type of client. The second type of client, the guys that just want to eat for convenience, now have all the time in the world to cook at home.
Correct.
And going to Carrefour was the plan at the time. Like people used to be dressed up to the T. Where are you going? Carrefour. What do you mean? Why are you rocking these brand new J's, bro? That's the only thing to do. And then you're gonna go on that trip, on that grocery trip, come back home, cook with the missus, cook with your boys, whatever it is. You know what I mean? That was the thing to do. So no one is about to spend that kind of money. And our kind of service at the time as well was just like, it's a luxury. You know what I mean? You're busy.
You're on the go. It's a convenience.
You're on the run. It's a convenience. That's what we're selling.
Yeah.
Like you're selling convenience in this kind of field. For the convenience concept is no longer there because everyone had the time. So we just lost from so many different aspects. And then just now comes like the problem solving skills. Tried here, there. Obviously it's just like, but eventually, man, once you're like passionate about something, you manage to find your way. You manage to, you know, like you'll fall as a business owner, bro. If you manage to get up and like, you know what I mean, try again and keep pushing, that's where you succeed. Like, don't look at the finances, just look at your journey kind of thing. So alhamdulillah, man, we managed to like pull it together, you know, like bounce back, add a little bit of tech to the whole concept. And we've always been, alhamdulillah, yani, I think it taps back into doing what you love. We've always been pioneers in the market just because we love what we're doing. So introducing new things was always because we want to see this thing grow. So that kept us always as leaders in the market. So the way the brand looks, the tech that we introduce, every time we do something, it's always like we're the first ones to do it, and then people follow through. So even after COVID, we took a break to introduce tech and create this whole like application thing and reintroduce ourselves in the market. People started following through by, you know, adding tech into their thing. So it's a lovely journey, man. It's exhausting, but what to do?
You mentioned a lot of things. Let's take it back a little bit.
Yeah.
Obviously, shout out to Workington. Speaking of entrepreneurship, Workington gives workspace for those who are entrepreneurs.
Absolutely.
So this would be a great. You know, gotta give a shameless plug, man. Gotta give a shameless. Gotta give a plug. You know what I'm saying? Gotta
sprinkle that in.
You know what I'm saying? But anyways, going back to what you said, you mentioned a lot of things, and I know you. The audience doesn't know you. Okay. Mm-hmm. So let's take it back a little bit in the sense that you're a kid. Similar to us, you're caught in two cultures. You know what I'm saying? You're Sudani, but you grew up here.
Yeah.
But you have an American accent. So there's so many things that people don't understand. So let's talk about that. Let's talk about your upbringings that made Mody who Mody is. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. And let's dive deeper and peel the onion layer by layer to what made you have the gonads to take these risks. You know what I'm saying? For those who don't know, the gonads, those that have the balls, basically. You know what I'm saying? So what made you take the risks? So we have to get to who you are. But in order to know who you are now, let's go back to the past.
Okay.
And you're a person caught in two cultures. You know?
100%.
So let's talk about your upbringings, your schooling.
Foundation.
The foundation.
Literally.
You know what I'm saying? The foundation.
Yeah.
You know?
So growing up, man, we came to Doha back in 1993.
Pre boom.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? We had like one road.
Yeah.
One hotel.
Pretty much.
Sheraton. That's it.
That was it?
Literally. Yeah.
Sheraton was
Just the Sheraton at the time.
Yeah, at the time, man.
Yeah.
You had the old school clock tower in front of the Parliament.
Pretty much.
Yeah, that's all you had.
Very basic, very small town vibes. Very like.
Listen, probably like a village, man. Probably.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah.
And it was like I don't have the greatest memory, to be frank, but like as far as I can remember, man, we moved here from Sudan. I was born back home in Sudan in Halfa. Came here in 1993. My dad had already been here a year prior. Being, you know, like...
Sorry, Coach, what made your pops choose Doha first, though, rather than the UAE?
So he used to be in the UAE, actually. Yeah, he was... that's where all of my siblings were born. They were born in Abu Dhabi. So my dad spent a good amount of his time over there. And then we all moved back to Sudan, and then he moved here. Obviously, job opportunities.
Fair enough.
Yeah. So he came here in 1993, and then he came here in 1992, and then we followed in 1993. Just for him, obviously being, like a foreigner, he had to come here, set up everything, all of that, and then we follow. So we came here, and it's just been a very interesting journey being mixed with all these different cultures in a country that is very small, and then constantly introducing new cultures. And we were talking about that earlier, me and you, where I was telling you how like when someone from Sudan and someone from Jordan, Palestine, Somal, everyone meets in Qatar, and then they create their own little culture. So the schools that we went to, the type of hangouts that we had, all of that, just a mixture of like the Qatari culture and our cultures that we brought from home, not from our home countries, because most of us were young, we barely even know our hometowns kind of thing. So it was just a very interesting dynamic, man. To say the least, like it just teaches you how to manage in every room, literally. Like you can sit down with the Palestinians and chop it up. You can sit down with the Lebanese guy, chop it up. The American guys and chop it up. The the Africans, everyone, because you're just like in a melting pot of different cultures. So it was a very it teaches you a lot, man. Qatar, honestly, mashallah, like one of the it has this thing about it where every time you leave, you just want to like, okay. So to me, this is home. Now that's very conflicting, right? Because obviously I'm not from here, and I'm also like just like every other foreigner, I have to renew my visa. I could be let go at any time. There's so many different, like, this is just conflicting as someone, and you get to know that unfortunately as you grow older.
Correct.
You know, like, oh, this is not home. You know what I mean? And then you go back home, and then you're also like, this is not home. And then, so it's a lot of emotions, man. It's a lot of, but I guess, you know, like, you got to make the best out of it. So, but yeah.
So how do you deal with that identity when you have laid your roots down and you still have it in your home, right? You're still Sudanese in your home, outside, but here it's a different place, different culture. You have an alchemy of different things you're bringing from cultures, from your friends, your background, while you're here. How do you define home in that sense? How do you have comfort in when you are as an expat?
Man, that's a tough question.
You know, they say home is where the heart is, bro.
Yeah, I believe that. I believe that.
Home is where the heart is.
Listen, brother.
Or home is where your wife is.
That's cliche.
You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying?
I'm not married. This is very. You're adding more conflict.
I'm joking.
Let this man answer the question, man.
I really can't answer that.
My bad.
You jump in the gun.
My bad.
Oh man. But no, honestly, as cliche as it is, home is where the heart is, right? And you grow up here and like, you stay here for too long, right? And then you start feeling it, like the safety of it, all of these, like, you don't have to walk around looking over your shoulders the whole time. Where back home in Sudan, it's always like constant like fights. Not in the sense of like it's not very safe. It's safe somewhat, but still like you don't know your in and outs basically. So you're constantly like on your feet. So in Qatar, I feel like, you know, it's a safe zone. So to me, whether, you know, like the rules allow it or not, it's still going to be home because that's just how I feel inside, right? So it's always going to be like, if I'm traveling and I miss home, I miss Qatar, you know what I mean? Or like always going to be, there's always going to be that connection. Even if I was to like leave for good, this is still going to be like the country that I call home because grew up here, family mostly here, best friends, childhood friends are here, you know what I mean? So there's always going to be that connection between, yeah.
You know what they say? So I always talk to Hamza about this, right? Mm-hmm. As much as I say I'm Somali, in the back of my mind and my thought process is very Western. Yeah. So we're being a kid of two cultures. The place where you spend the most time in and where you grew up is how you think. Yeah. Yep. So for you, your whole life you've been here. Yeah. And then bits and bobs, you go back to Sudan and you taste it for a month or two max. But most of the time your mind is Qatari. You think Qatari. You know what I'm saying? Yes, in the sense, the culture you have, obviously by blood you are Sudani. Yes. But Qatar has basically navigated your life. Yeah. You know? 100%. And you're more Qatari than you are Sudani if you think about it.
I would say again, that goes back into that little culture that we created. You know what I mean? So it's like a mixture of Khaliji culture with like foreigners' cultures. It's just that's a lot, man. And then it brings out this personality that can just manage in life, honestly. Yes, you can. Yeah. And then obviously the more you educate yourself about other cultures, the more you can, and that you can do wherever you are, like you live, honestly. Like if you educate yourself enough to be able to like be in any room, that's just like self-teaching. You can just like teach yourself how to like, chop it up with like a different culture here and there, like Western culture or African culture, or you know what I mean? But something about Qatar, because of the dynamic it has, it forces you to like mix with these cultures. You have to, like, if you go to the supermarket, you're dealing with a specific culture. If you go to the hospital, different culture. If you go to, the gym, different culture. And now, speaking of like 2025, it's completely different cultures. So back then it was the cultures were more like the Afro Arabs, the Middle Easterns are all in here. Yes. Now it's all the Eastern Europeans, all the Americans, the Canadians, you know what I mean?
You have your usual suspects, and then now you have new players.
Yeah.
So you have North Americans, you have Europeans, you have Asians, South Asians, what's it called, mixing in this melting pot now.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes, 100%.
And also, they're also producing generations of mixed nationalities,
Yes.
mixed ethnicities as well.
Bro, the other day I was playing basketball with some friends, right? And then this one kid from the Philippines, great hooper. As we're playing, I'm noticing that this kid is dropping like Arabic words, and then I go to him like, "Hey man, do you speak Arabic or something?" He full on had a full conversation in Arabic.
Straight.
Full conversation. Why? Because he grew up with these kids that, you know what I mean? Yeah, and he just picked up the whole language though. The whole language with that accent. You know what I mean? Not a mixed kid, full on from the Philippines, speaks.
His environment played a role.
So it's the same thing when like you talk about, because you were mentioning my American accent. I don't know where I picked it up from. Mostly hip hop music, probably. But probably all the Nas and Jay-Z's and all these fellas. But yeah, like you're a product of your environment, right?
Absolutely.
So maybe at the time, the American culture wasn't very exposed in Qatar, but I think my interests were more like, with the hip hop, the swagger, the NBA and all of that. And then once you stop playing basketball, you just dive into it even deeper, right? Like it just I think honestly, basketball creates a personality. It's not you. Yeah, it's a whole personality.
It's black culture, though.
Yeah, 100%.
It's two of the same.
100%. You can't just pick up the sport. You gotta pick up the sport, the music, the shoes, the way you dress, the way you walk. You know what I mean?
And especially growing up in the 90s, where basketball players and rappers was synonymous. It still is, but it was heavier in the 90s and the 2000s.
Remember when like Kobe tried to rap?
Yeah. Kobe, Shaq raps, Dame raps.
Yeah, Dame Dollar now.
All these guys are KD raps as well.
Yeah,
all these guys rap.
But see, back in the day, I would argue that Michael Jordan was the first exporter of the NBA globally.
Correct.
Right?
Ambassador.
The sneakers.
Yeah.
How he wore his shorts.
Yeah.
His presence. No one had that type of presence and focus before, but he exported a lot of what the NBA was on a global scale. He was a perfect person, to bring that out to everyone globally. So I would assume that you maybe looked at Jordan growing up, or maybe Kobe, or mostly Kobe.
My generation would,
I'm old head. I'm OG. Other podcasts.
I'm like torn between both.
You in the middle, like
I'm between that because I caught Jordan's end and Kobe's beginning throughout his whole lifetime.
Yeah.
So I literally caught Jordan when he was like dropping the fever game, all this stuff. I seen it all.
Okay.
Nice.
Yeah, and then
How old are you?
I'm 34.
34. Oh, okay. Yeah, we're the same age.
Yeah. So you're the same as well then.
Yeah, but
I thought he was like.
I thought he's younger than me. I'm not gonna lie to you.
25 or something.
I thought he's younger than me.
No, but you gotta understand when basketball came to us, right? We weren't really. We grew up watching football, soccer. Basically.
Oh, yeah.
And then
for us,
basketball was introduced to us when we were like 13, 12.
No, bro, basketball is like.
So we didn't really catch Jordan like that, but we caught Wizards Jordan.
Yeah. But even Wizard Jordan, bro, was still giving buckets, bro.
Yeah.
He was still scoring 58 points.
Yeah, he was still 20 a game. He was scoring 20 a game.
Wizard Jordan, bro, was like on a
lazy buckets.
come on. On a casual jump buckets. Come on, man. Running.
Yeah. Jim buckets giving you,
Planet Fitness kind of buckets,
Pickup game buckets.
I mean, if you honestly, it's still like you got to look at the guys he was playing against.
Come on, man.
He's playing against Kobe.
He's playing Kobe, bro. He's playing like look at the guys he's playing against. He's playing Kobe, D Wade, young LeBron as well. Al Iverson. There's still players.
Yeah.
But you kind of lived in a cool time, or a time that's actually fascinating, because you saw Qatar pre-boom, before anything was developed, and you grew up in a time where you saw the bid, you saw the change, you saw the sports, you saw the government, and how was that? Like I'm always fascinated by, because nowadays you see these old pictures on Instagram, right? And you see Qatar before, Qatar now.
Yeah.
UAE before, UAE now. right? So you saw it live time, 4K, you saw it, you lived through it.
Fair enough.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And it's interesting because you think you and I grew up in the same place, but we didn't. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, fair enough.
So how was that? It's to witness that kind of, because now, bro, there's Uber, there's Talabat, there's all these things, and we're so globalized.
Yeah.
But yet you saw a time where like you had less than me, like not less, but like in terms of like how forward we were compared to you guys, we had like a head start. But now we're the same. So how was that time?
Basically, when I believe it was like 2006 is when we started to really notice it, right? Because growing up as a kid, man, you don't really pay attention to like the infrastructure and all of that, right? But you just notice like the little things, like, oh, there's a new mall, oh, there's this. So you don't pay a lot of attention. Now, 2006 is when they started like they hosted the Asian Games.
The first one, right? Yeah. Yes.
And that's when like Aspire Academy and all of these facilities started popping up, and then out of nowhere you'll see like new areas popping up. You then move forward a few years later and like the Pearl comes about. It was honestly a very fast-paced development, and it didn't even give us the chance to like appreciate it or even understand it. Now with that kind of development though, something changed, which was the concept of like community, right? Where back then we'd live in a neighborhood, everyone knows each other, everyone is here for long-term contracts. You know what I mean? That little concept of community where kids play outside and the kids will know each other, us as kids as well, like, you know what I mean? There was some sort of like dynamic that suddenly just disappeared when it became very fast-paced. And I think that's just the world in general. The world became very like transactional and fast-paced, and you know, you're here for a 1-year contract and then you bounce and then you go to the next country, and then, you know what I mean? So I think once Qatar dove into that, just that little concept of community went missing, replaced with all of the innovation, all of the, you know, like great buildings and great ideas and great like new cities and then new faces as well, where you get to the world is a small place still. You get to network with like so many people that are coming in and out of the country, you know what I mean? But that period of time where Qatar went from like 0 to 100 was back to back. It was just so fast paced that we didn't even like understand it up until like, you know, we took a moment to like witness the greatness of like the World Cup, and that's when you're like, yo, we came a long way.
You have, man. Because if you think about it, man, looking based on the pictures alone, you wouldn't think of Qatar. What countries take 20 years, 30 years, 40 years to develop this much, Qatar did it within 15 to 10 years. And majority of the development happened from 2012 to 2022, whatever it was, right? In that 10-year span, majority of the buildings being built, they're still building buildings, and roads are still being built, but majority of the development happened within that 10-year span. And if yes, you could say Qatar is a very small country and this and that, but to have that kind of development of infrastructure and policies and compliance and all these things, it's amazing. It's amazing, man.
100%.
It was bound to happen, I guess, right? Like where they had a plan, they have the funds for it, and their whole goal was to also be like the sports capital of the world, basically. And once you have a vision and you have the plan and you have, you know, the funds and all of that to go with it, it's just a matter of execution, right? Now, the part that kind of sucks is that the hype died down a bit after the World Cup. Now, how do you maintain that? That's the issue, where you definitely spent. Oh, everyone can tell that you spent bucks on this project, Qatar, right? Now, how do you maintain that? How do you bring in, you know, more entertainment, more tourism, more this, more that. It's slowly happening, but you cannot be Bali because Bali has the advantage of weather. You cannot be Dubai because Dubai just said, yeah, you know what I mean? Yeah, Dubai just decided, listen, we want this lifetime. You know what I mean? So it's kind of like who now as a country that has a you're very conservative, which is lovely.
Yeah.
You're yeah. Like I wouldn't want to grow up or grow like once I have kids. Inshallah, you know, I don't want to. Yeah, 100%, 100%. Like if I was to raise a family, I want to be here. You know what I mean? Just the way we were brought up, I want it to be the same for my kids, inshallah. So you take them anywhere else, bro, it's gonna be it's gonna be hard for you as a parent. That's to say the least.
But see, I would say that Qatar is doing exactly what it wants to do.
Yeah.
I would easily say that because a lot of people from the West, okay, after the World Cup, what's happening there? You know, I got to see a lot more about it, but I don't know if I still want to go because a lot of propaganda happened in the West about Qatar and things like that. But for me, I really think they have the speed that they want. They see everybody else moving in a different direction and being something that they want to be.
Yeah.
And Qatar's saying, yeah, we're happy like this. 100%. And I would argue that you can do anything you want to do in this country. There's a lane for everyone. Where in some places the lane is super fast and that's what it feels like is only fast.
Yeah.
And then here it's like, okay, if I want to do something, I can go over here and do that. If I'm an artist, I can go over here, do this. So I feel like Qatar is moving in that direction of like, yeah, this is what we're doing. We're doing it at our pace. And Qatar's always been like that. That's the brand of it. Like, yeah, this is what we're doing. We're happy with it. We're comfortable with it. You guys can do what you want to do.
I love what you just said, man. That's their brand. 100%. 100%.
I love it.
And
it's the marketer in me. I don't know how to.
And you also gotta look at it from the revenue stream perspective. Like tourism is not a revenue stream to them. You know what I mean? That's not something that I want as a revenue stream. My revenue streams, I already know them.
Yes.
So for me to like open up the country for everyone just for tourism, I'm not looking at it for money. I'm probably going to look at tourism as just like a marketing strategy to like just put my name up there as like this country that is leading the market in innovation in sports and just as a marketing tool. So to them, it's never going to be like something that they want to make money from, which is so that's why they're moving at their own pace. You know what I mean?
I wouldn't say even pace, bro. They themselves, they're comfortable. They're happy. They don't need anything else.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So for them, they're to be moving, you have to have some kind of competitor. To them, there is no competitor because they see themselves as they're satisfied. They're content.
Right.
That's very true.
They're content. So to them, it's like alhamdulillah. Like whether we move or not, we're content.
Yeah.
That's true.
MashaAllah, man.
Yeah.
MashaAllah,
A lot of respect on that.
A lot of respect, man. Shout out to Qatar, man.
I know. Shout out to Qatar indeed.
I want to go back to something that we had talked about. I believe you talked about a little bit in your upbringing here.
Yeah.
We talked a little bit about it off camera. You seem to have a good group of boys that now are men. They're boys to men. Like shout out to boys to men, the group. But they're now men now, right?
Yeah, fair enough.
And you still have those connections. You know how we talk about LeBron James and how his boys became businessmen.
Fair enough.
They from friends to he invested in them, they became businessmen. How influential are your group of friends to what you do as a businessman and as a person?
Oh man, nice question indeed. So as someone that started their business, I think I was one of the first out of my boys to start their own thing, right? And I did it in a very clumsy way. Like it was never like, studied, or it was just very like, hey, I'm going this direction, who's following? Yeah, pretty much. So it was actually me and my cousin talk about this a lot, like where I made a little bit of a mistake not lifting everyone that's around me, right? Where I felt like I'm heading that direction and I'm just going. I didn't want to like, you know, not that I didn't want to. It just didn't occur to me that, okay, let me get people involved. You know what I mean? And it taps a lot into the personality of that, you know, little ego that I had as a kid, which was like, I can do everything by myself. You grow up and learn, obviously, and alhamdulillah, I learned my lessons the hard way. But I wish I would have done that, man. I wish I would have, you know, like the level that we reached as a startup. I wish I kind of like put it on hold, went back to my boys and be like, hey, I have this thing that is a great opportunity and it's kind of like, you know, booming. Let's all work on it together. I wish I've done that, man. But you live and you learn. But yeah, it's definitely now we're way more involved with each other. Now that even in my like new projects, you know, like even if they're not involved, at least I'll take their opinion. Like, hey, what should I do about this? Where back then it was never the case. It was just like ego management. You know what I mean? Like I can do it by myself. But yeah, I wish I pulled the LeBron and just, you know, created this whole empire with the people closest to me. You know what I mean?
I'm a catch-22 on that because you know the saying, when you build something, the people at the bottom are the ones that pull you down. Do you know what I'm saying? Yeah. And obviously, shoulda, coulda, woulda.
Or you can lift them up.
Yeah, you can. It works both ways. Mm-hmm. But it works both ways. But the thing,
it's the one. It's easier
to come like this,
come down than to pull up. But shoulda, obviously now in hindsight. But the reality is, and this is me just speaking out loud. If you were to pause whatever you were doing, let's say for example, you said now you're ego pushing forward, right? Mm-hmm. But that ego pushing forward and that Mamba mentality of you know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? Shout out to the boy Kobe.
Hey, now I'm gonna start doing that some more if you say that.
we got the Laker colors right here.
You know, no, but really, because you were locked in, right? Because you're locked in, the company and what you were doing had to get to a certain degree. Let's say, for example, you did what you said right now, where you would get it, stop it, go back, ask the boys. There's too many chefs in the kitchen, man.
Yeah, that's true.
When you have too many chefs in the kitchen.
That's true. Oh, you also, yeah.
Good point, though.
So that's me because it's not you being selfish. Sometimes to be a maverick or to be a pioneer of something, you have to be selfless.
That's very true.
You know what I'm saying?
That is very true.
There are so many different ways to look at it, honestly. Like, I could have done that and went back to them, and they could have had their own ego. Like, hey, I want to manage this thing. You know what I mean? I've seen that happen with some of my friends, where you know they just had a conflict because of that. You know what I mean? But yeah, shoulda, coulda, woulda. You know what I mean?
Because on the flip side, you know, the famous saying: if you want to go far, you go together. If you want to go fast, you go by yourself.
That's true.
So it just depends on first of all, who are your friends, and it depends on your personality.
Yeah.
Because don't forget, business changes people.
100%.
You know.
Yes.
One of the most famous hadiths by the Prophet ﷺ is that if you truly want to know someone, there's two ways. Either you travel with them, or you do with them business. So regardless of blood, regardless of friendship, bro, you know, so you have to always consider these things.
That's very true.
You have to, because money changes people, you know.
Yeah.
And
does it make more of who you are?
No, money allows you to be who you actually are. Mm-hmm. Do you know? Yeah. So money's not evil. It just makes people more
themselves.
Who they really are.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah, 100%. Now, a nice mixture of going fast and far would be nice.
Absolutely.
Where you can establish yourself first and then give the people around you opportunities and trust them to, you know what I mean, like carry the torch with you. Now, it's not the easiest thing to do because, again, everyone has egos, and the people closest to you will always have the biggest ego because they're your peers. Yeah. You know, how are you leading? How dare you lead this thing? I can lead it better than you. You know what I mean? So it's very, like, it's unfortunate, to be honest.
You get the biggest applause from strangers. You know?
Yeah, because we were talking about that.
You know, I'm being for real, man. You get the biggest applause from strangers, man.
We were talking about that as well, right? About the strangers are the ones who come out the woodworks, and they're the ones who
They-
put the money in your hand
Yeah, man.
and say, "Hey, I believe in you. I don't know, something about you. I just believe in it." But you have people who are right next to you. Their ego says, "I could do it better than you."
Not even
I grew
ego.
up with him, so how is he in position, but I'm not in
Not even
position?
ego, bro. It's
You know?
the people that are closest to you, which is so unfortunate. Where they'd be like,
Yeah.
"Yo, bro, give me a discount."
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Oh, yeah.
That's what hurts the most.
Yeah.
Where you would think your boy or whatever your people would be paying full
Yeah.
price, at least to get you off your feet.
That is
Doesn't happen.
Doesn't
man.
happen. No, it doesn't happen. You may got like one in your crew who might do that. Two in your crew if you're
And-
lucky.
rarely.
And I'm a-
It's rare.
Bro, I'm a huge supporter of my boys when they start something, because starting is the hardest part of anything.
Yeah.
Maintaining is easy, but getting something to run
Yeah.
and executing an idea and getting it off the ground
Yeah.
is one of the hardest thing. So
I always, honestly, everyone that like starts something, like anyone that started something, no matter how small it is, for you to take that risk, man, like I have so much respect for people that start their own thing. For like once you just follow it, whether if you're passionate about it or to you it's just like a money maker and you're just gonna take the risk and do it. It takes a lot of courage, man, and it takes a lot. It's a whole personality. Being an entrepreneur is a personality, bro. Like you either have it or you don't. You know what I mean? If you don't, you're gonna have the 9 to 5, and you know what I mean. If you do, you're gonna go all in. Now, I love people that do calculated risk. Obviously, you should have something that supports your passion, and if you know how to like just maneuver between both, and just have a point in your life, or like just calculate it. If it's calculated risk, calculate the time where you're gonna go all in, because if you're gonna keep jiggling between both, you're just gonna exhaust yourself, and eventually you want to do what you love. Now your 9 to 5 I don't think anyone has a 9 to 5 that's like, hey, that's my passion. You know what I mean? I don't think anybody has.
I ain't gonna lie, I love my job.
Oh,
I ain't gonna lie to you. I ain't gonna lie to you. Yeah, I love my job.
But if you were to do marketing at your own time, at your own pace, with your own ideas, you're not restricted to brand identity. You're not you know what I mean? You'd be like, you're passionate about marketing. You're not passionate about having a 9 to 5, which is fair enough, right? Fair enough. Like I've had a marketing job. I didn't like the restrictions of the restrictions that the client put on me.
Yes.
Where like, oh no, I don't like the color of the like, dude, your logo sucks. You know what I mean? like let me change it. I promise you, bro. Like that's why even when I have a client so I started this little new thing that you saw on Instagram. Basically, it's called Gemini Concepts, where it's just literally me creating concepts from A to Z, like the logo, the name, the branding, all of that, and I'll give it to you. All right. Now, the type of clients I take for this is you don't have a saying in this type of client, right? Where this is gonna be my direction in order for you to even use this. So it's not even about like the money, honestly. It's about, this is what I think your brand should look like. Listen, it might sound a little, like who does you think he is? But honestly, it's just this is what I'm passionate about. Like I'm passionate about like the design aspect of things, the way it looks, the philosophy behind the brand. And then when I give it to somebody, they have to accept it. Then we can tweak a little bit here and there to like make it fit the theme a bit more. But I don't like the type of marketing that restricts me, because then I'm back to like being an employee. Like, hey, no, change this color.
Mm-hmm. You're back to those same restrictions you don't want to be under, right? We
Yes,
yeah.
100%. And that's what used to happen. Like I'll create something that I personally would think this looks great, and I'll present it, and they'll be like, no. And I'm just like, it just like pisses me off. But yeah.
How balanced or imbalanced are you with your personal life and professional?
work-life balance.
Right, because entrepreneurs, are kind of imbalanced
basically-
in some ways, but how do you balance or how don't you balance it, right? Or is there such a thing? Is it an illusion?
Do you have a life?
Right.
Basically.
Simply.
Do you have a life?
Simply.
In summary,
Simply put, do you have a life, Mody? Fair enough. Honestly, at one point, when I first started, it was a mess. Like, it was constant work. It cost me a lot of like personal relationships. It cost me a lot of like family relationships. Not that they cut me off or anything, but they had to like sit down and be like, hey, especially my dad. My dad will always give me the look of like, hey, listen, this never finishes. Like he's constantly repeating that. Like, business never finishes. So calm down. You know what I mean? Like, have a moment for yourself, kind of thing. So you have to like learn the ropes of how to like maneuver between, and because you're always carrying this business with you anyways. Like when I'm working out, you know what I mean, I'm not thinking of the business, but if an opportunity presents itself, then I'm in work mode, you know what I mean. So it becomes this constant, literally, like, but this is the best way to go about it, is to honestly have the like, take it with you as you go, but don't think of it too much. Like, don't make it like, it's kind of, it taps into the concept of sa'i, you know what I mean.
Yes.
So you're moving forward.
Bro, speak about sa'i, bro. Break it down, man. That's a gem, bro.
Listen, I'm definitely not like very knowledgeable about it, but I try as much as I can to learn, right?
Sure, bro.
But I feel like you gotta have the intentions of seeking rizq, and which is, you know, basically like manifestation, what they call it nowadays. But you have the intentions.
The rebrand.
Yeah, the rebrand of it is manifestation. So انت تتوكل and you work towards it, which is تسعى, and it comes to you. So you can't decide this is the time I'm going to أسعى and أتوكل. No, you're constantly doing it. You know what I mean? And you're seeking God throughout. You know what I mean? So if an opportunity happened to present itself, right then and there, go for it, man. And just always have that balance of like, okay, we're gonna tap into this later. You know, we're working out right now. And then you just move forward. So you're constantly, if it happens, it happens. And then but you do work towards it. Don't just like say that and then, you know, let it go. You work towards it. You make that phone call the next day and be like, hey, we met at the gym yesterday, and I thought we should chop it up and, you know, talk about this. You know what I mean? As a business owner, honestly, it's just always like, it's day and night. Like, I thought, you know, I was gonna work less when I started that. I didn't sign up for this, bro. But
if 9 to 5 is 40 hours, bro, you're pushing at least 90 hours, man.
Yeah.
90, 80 hours a week, bro.
yeah, but you gotta understand how to do it. You know what I mean? And then what I honestly like, one of the things that I did, walhamdulillah, yani, is that I managed to create solutions for my work problems, which, you know, just find the issue that takes a lot of my time. At the end of the day, man, you want to be free. This is literally what you want to do, right? You want to be able to enjoy the moment, to be present, to sit down with your family and not have to think about, you know what I mean, who's doing the reports, who's I got to hand in this thing. You want to be able to like be here and be like in the moment. So what I did is I managed to create just solutions for all of the operation issues that I had, and that's where, like, I think that's what gave me a bit of a boost to even keep pushing, because business gets to a point where it's just overwhelming sometimes, and you don't know where to start. So once you get there, man, you got to take a step back, especially when it's like it becomes obligations, like the thing that you created you're no longer enjoying. That you're not gonna go far. If you're not enjoying this thing that you created, it's very hard to continue. So you got to be able to take a step back, reevaluate it, see how you can find solutions that give you as a business owner more time to work on the business, because it's so easy to work on the business. All the creativity comes out, all the, you know what I mean, you're able to like talk to people and establish new ideas and bring it back to your business. But first, this thing gotta be autopilot. So that's what I basically did. Yani, for a year, we developed like a system that makes the whole concept on, just like runs on its own. And now I really enjoy it. Like at one point, I really hated the concept of the business, man, because it was just constantly dragging me back into the business, like working in the business. It became nonsensical. I became an employee again. And like, it's different, obviously, being an employee, like self-employed. It's different, yes, but still, you're not doing what you love. You're doing the dirty work again. What I want to do is I want to make this brand like the coolest brand, look a certain way, be in certain places, grow it from grow it in a way that kind of represents me as the business owner. You know what I mean? Make it look like me. So very like cool looking type of brand. And I cannot do that if I have to like sit there and write reports. Managing that side of things will then make you work on the business and carry it with you. So as long as you are outside, you are now a business owner. So you're constantly working, networking, enjoying your time, doing everything at the same time.
All the fun stuff.
You're doing all the fun stuff, yeah, pretty much.
You know, bro, first of all, two things, mashallah. You dropped a gem and basically the formula of a business, in the sense that business is pretty much 90% tawakkul ala Allah, and then 10% is what you put in as a human. That's basically what success is. And then the rizq comes whether the rizq is already written for you.
Yeah.
So whether Allah has written things for everybody, and regardless whether it's under a mountain or it's above the mountain, it's coming to you regardless. So in your journey of being an entrepreneur, can we say that it has brought you closer to the religion, because you are now understanding these concepts of qadr and rizq and tawakkul and all these things, where now you're at a point right now where I could even say that these solutions that you're solving is because of the will of Allah.
Of course.
You know what I'm saying?
Of course, 100%.
To comprehend these solutions and to see that I don't need to be part of these everyday operations.
Honestly, man, that is a like dope question, to be honest, man. Bro, growing up, or like once I started this, you gotta understand, like, you only get closer to God once you face hardship.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Ding, ding, ding.
That's a
Ding, ding, ding.
Yeah, 100%, man, 100%.
Yeah.
Which is actually kind of sad in a way.
Sad.
It's very sad.
But it's also lovely when you look at it from the perspective of you went through hardship, so God can bring you closer to Him, because He's the one that guides you towards Him. And if He doesn't want you, you could have a lovely life, bro. Not one issue. You should be worried once you have that. You know what I mean? Yeah, you should be worried. If your life is smooth sailing, man, there's something wrong. You're doing something wrong, bro. And yeah, so growing into, like, once I started this whole thing, it was just like beyond expectations, to be honest. We managed to hit every goal that we wanted, and smooth sailing all the way, and growing. Oh my God, man. Honestly, the ego is the issue, bro. Kibr, bro. Not just kibr, just like the fact that you can say, like, I've done this. That's when like, in a minute, everything just...
Money's rolling. Things are, what's it called? KPIs are being hit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
First goal, second goal.
You're crushing it. Crushing it.
That really, right away, taps into your ego, bro. Oh, I've done this. I got this. You know what I mean? Money is not I'm unstoppable, bro.
Money's not a thing anymore.
That is the issue, bro. That's when the test basically kicks in. All right, let me take all of this away from you. Let's see what you got now, bro. It was, if I tell you, man, the type of person that not even too long ago, let's say 2 years ago, or maybe a year and a half, to say the least, man, I was a completely different person. just the ego, you know what I mean? I'm better than being in this room. I'm better than having this conversation. I can do everything on my own. It's just blinding, man, honestly. So when we say you only know God in hardship, is because you really have to go through hardship, man. You really have to, that circle that was around you has to like disappear in order for you to find yourself alone with no one to help and just look up and be like, all right, I'm sorry. I need you to show me the way, because there's no way out, basically. And honestly, bro, like I've gone through it, man. Like, you know what I mean? I've gone through the most, man. Like rock bottom, definitely, yes. And then from there, like if you try to solve it on your own and you still have that ego of like, I can do it and not depend on a higher power, you're delusional, bro. And the problem with that as well is that it's not easy, bro. It's the concept of tawakkul is not easy. Not that I know how to do it 100%, because I still do have my little, I'm only human, you know what I mean? So a little voice in your head will be like, I don't know about all of that. But then you have to like, obviously try to like strengthen your iman, strengthen your belief, and try to push forward. And once you see the signs, you start moving towards it. When something is a little too hectic and it's not working out, maybe you should leave that alone. Maybe you should go towards the thing that's calling your name and like becoming easier. You know what I mean? Or like, so it's like maneuver. It's like navigating through life, bro, and trying to understand where the signs are that are calling you towards God, calling you towards your rizq. You know what I mean? And fully depend on Him.
Yes, keyword is
fully depend on Him. Like, don't have your heart tied into your brand, your friends, your new manager that you brought in. You know what I mean? Don't have any ties with like the creation. Have just one tie with the Creator and move forward. That you'll be fine. Sometimes something will be working smoothly right there. You can see the end result almost, and you tie your heart to it, boom, it gets taken away. Just because you believe that, okay, this is the solution and not God. You know what I mean? You tied yourself to the creation. Out of nowhere, it doesn't work out. Subhanallah, man, it's a good thing, obviously. Alhamdulillah, bro, like to have, like I wouldn't change a thing about it, man. Honestly, everything that I've went through and how just like thick and thin, man, honestly, wouldn't change a thing about it, because it brought me closer to God. And once you have that type of like backup, bro, who can stop you? You know what I mean? It's just like literally, I'm like right now I'm walking and doors are just opening, and I don't even know how. It's just opening. I'm just like, oh, let's just keep walking, I guess. You know what I mean? You just keep on walking, bro, and it's just like, subhanallah, bro, like things that I thought are no way this could happen, boom, easy happens. You know what I mean? Subhanallah, man, the concept of tawakkul is it's complicated yet simple. It's complicated yet simple. Like, I don't know how to put it. You just have to have strong belief that this is going to happen, and you put yourself in the shoes of the successful person. You'll get there. Best always have your heart tied to like Allah, basically, and just keep moving forward. Subhanallah, man. Subhanallah.
Well, I don't want to be the one to rain on the party, but have to close it out. I'm looking at the time and everything like that. I'm really enjoying the conversation.
No, it's actually going deep, man.
Yeah,
It's going deep, man.
It's a perfect moment to actually end on it, because we all do everything because of Ya Rab. It's not from us. You know what I mean? And it's really refreshing to hear someone who going through adversity and not looking at himself for the solution through the adversity, right? Like looking at Al Wakil, right? For You know what I mean? For everything that you need for the sustenance, because it's already there for you. You're walking through something that's already been designed for you to do it. The confidence is in you, and once you're confident, everything kind of forms around you like an amoeba. You know, you just go through it, everybody forms it around you, right?
Science guy,
Right.
an amoeba.
Oh yeah.
My dog.
Hey,
Science
a
lesson.
little biology for
A
you.
little bit of biology.
A little something.
You got that in you, eh?
Hey, you know,
This guy said an amoeba.
I got something in me, man. You know, I did okay in the SATs. Did all
Yeah, a
right.
little biology lesson over here.
Yeah,
Shout out to his teachers.
But it's really refreshing because sometimes when you're doing so well, this is when a lot of people are not close to the Creator, not close to Allah Subhanahu wa Taala. You know what I mean? So yeah.
Before we sign out, sorry to cut you off. Do you want to give a shout out to Elements?
Hey, shout out to Elements. Honestly,
Yes.
man,
Shout out
I
to-
love this brand,
bro,
Like,
plug
you guys
everything
have
up
some
right now.
fresh-
That's a fresh hoodie.
Show,
right
show the
there.
hoodie.
Yes,
Show the hoodie.
sir. Yes,
Yeah.
sir.
Some people-
Look into that camera right here. Show the hoodie right there. You know
Some
what I
people
mean?
think it's a
Flex
fashion
it.
brand. You know what I'm saying?
It is gonna be a fashion brand
Inshallah.
sometime, inshallah. Once we put like all the, you know, like the pieces in the right places. But yeah, man, shout out Elements, man. This is my baby. This is like what started all of this. Gave me the most trouble, I kid you not. But alhamdulillah, also like just, oh, man, like gave me a lifestyle that I would have never dreamed of, to be honest. But alhamdulillah, man, alhamdulillah.
And then what's the newest baby that you got before we sign out?
Yeah.
The newest, oh man, so I have two new babies basically. One of them is a very baby, but you know, the new one is called Nutriverse, which is a problem solver for Elements. So it's a software that solves all of the issues that makes me able to work on the business, not in the business. So anyone that has like a diet center, honestly, reach out, man. I'll hook you guys up. The second one is what I'm passionate about, which is Gemini Concepts, which is just creations, basically. Like, I just want to be able to honestly, I want to be able to free my time to work on this, just to like create new concepts and ideas and give them to people and be like, you know what I mean? I've seen some of my work here and there so far, so it's kind of cool to see like something that just an idea come to life and someone looking at it and be like, hey, I like that, I'm gonna, you know, pay for it. So I like that. But yeah, man, it's this is what I've been currently working on. But alhamdulillah, yani, it's been one hell of a journey, man. One hell of a journey.
Make it easy on you.
Yes.
I mean,
Allah make it easy on you.
Brother,
I mean.
when I first heard of Elements, it brought me back to when I was in college, pre-Muslim. I used to be a bouncer.
Question for that, by the way.
You can answer it. You can ask it. I used to be a bouncer for a club called
Oh,
Elements.
is that right?
So it reminded me of like those days, the Elements.
That's the next project.
Well, Allah saves me. Thank you so much.
I wanted to ask a quick question actually before we sign off. So you converted to Islam. When did you convert?
It's a deep question.
When?
Yeah.
Oh, 10 years ago. Yeah, this is
10
my
years,
10th
mashallah.
Ramadan. Yeah.
Yeah, it's 10 years
Yeah,
ago.
10 years ago.
So, what was the decision maker, or like how did the decision happen, or what was the? I know this is not the type of question that we should.
No.
It's funny now. He's the host now.
Yeah,
I'm pretty sure.
I'm pretty
It's
There's a
flipped.
whole journey, but it's very interesting to me that, honestly, it's very interesting to me that someone can decide like, okay, I'm gonna follow this religion, but because this is what works for me. You know what I mean? Because just like you went through a spiritual journey before you made that decision, I'm currently going on that spiritual journey. You know what I mean? Within my own religion, right? Because yes, we were born Muslim, but we knew nothing, bro. We literally knew nothing. The way it was taught to us as well, it was just like, yeah, this is part of the culture. It's part of the culture. You know what I mean? So in order for, because I'd put myself in his shoes. Were you Christian before that? So I'd put myself in his shoes as like a Muslim, for example, right now. Would I? You know what I mean? Like, because it's not easy, right? It's so, especially for a Muslim, it is. Yeah. The way, especially the information we're fed. If you're not Muslim, you know what I mean? It's yeah. Tell me.
I think for me, I went through the same thing you're going through now. Just kind of examining the religion that I was in.
Fair enough.
I come from a family of pastors. So yeah, people who run churches, multiple churches, things like that. But for me, I just couldn't get over certain things that I would read, and I was like, I just don't feel it. I don't agree with it. And I had people I can go talk to and ask those questions. So that was one. But number two, I'm a big fan of Malcolm X.
Okay.
I really, he changed the way I thought about the world, about life. And he was a Muslim, and he was a revert as well. So, it made me think. Muhammad Ali was also someone that I looked up to. And shout out to Mahmoud
Ball player
as well, basketball player.
Pre-Curry for Curry.
He was Curry.
He was in the Warriors.
No. He was the original
Nuggets.
But he was the
Nuggets,
original.
okay. Yeah.
Like he played like Curry before Curry.
Yes.
And then the NBA blackballed him.
Yes.
Fun fact.
Purposely.
Purposely, yeah.
Purposely.
So that's because this is back then in the early 2000s.
Yeah.
And he was a visible Muslim.
Yes.
Oh, that's crazy.
Yeah.
He was a visible, and he'd be making dua and everything and all these things.
Visible.
So the NBA didn't want that image for the NBA at the time.
So like those three individuals, definitely changed the way I thought about things. And then I have family that's Muslim. I have family that's Muslim, and I just never want to be recruited to go to the mosque.
Okay.
I want my own journey, so I never really tapped into them. But one of the matriarchs of our family, my Aunt Sadie, rest in peace. Like she, I used to talk to her about Islam a lot.
Okay.
And so I wish she would have seen me now. But she talked to me about it. So I looked up to her, And I think just over time, I used to go to the mosque, and I used to be right in the back of the mosque. And when people would pray, I would just observe. I would hear the adhan and the iqama, and I would just soak it all in, And then one day I was at NYU, Islamic Center, NYU, New York University. And I just talked to the imam there, Khalid Latif, the imam there. And I said, can I talk to you for a second? Can I sit down with you? I have questions. And every week I would come back. And every week he was there to answer my questions. And the people in that community that kind of just wrapped their arms around me. Like, what do you need? I would take books from them and bring it back and ask questions. And over time, I just took my Shahada there. I took it in February because I wanted to show love to Islam. So, I took it in February with a couple people, there. And from there, it was like, I don't know what I'm doing. I don't know how to pray, really. I don't know what I'm saying, but let's jump in.
Yeah.
And it wasn't easy from just a conversion standpoint, because it's a totally new language. I'm memorizing something. These are clothes I don't wear. These are customs I don't have. And I don't have someone going in it with me. None of my boys are doing a Shahada with me or anything like that. So you're really on your own. But I'm here. And I never knew I would be here, and now I'm soaking it in. So when people ask me, are you going back to the US? I love my country, but I don't really have any interest in growing up my kids there. If I had any choice, Qatar is the place. So please, Amir, keep me here. I want to be here for a long time. So that's just kind of like short version. We could talk offline about everything else, but that's
it goes deeper than that.
Much deeper. 15-year process.
Yeah.
I was 15 years old when I first thought about Islam, and then I took my Shahada when I was 30.
15 years later, right? Yeah.
15 years later. Yeah. I'm an old man, so yeah.
How old are you now?
41.
40, okay.
Yeah,
MashaAllah. 40 years here still.
Welcome to the team, buddy.
Thank you.
Habibi,
Shukran.
Anyways,
That's all mine, bro. Pleasure,
Thank you, man.
pleasure.
I love it here.
Anyways, let's
Hey,
wrap it up, dog. Let's wrap it up.
Yeah.
Hey, thank you guys for having me.
Yeah.
No, bro. We're gonna thank you first, man. Let's.
Yeah,
It's a protocol, brother. Come on. It's a protocol.
Yeah, let's give you your flowers.
We have to, because now they're gonna think we're the guests.
Right?
You're the host.
Especially that I asked the last
Yeah. No,
Pass
man.
the torch now, then we're gonna go ahead.
Mody, thank you for having us, man. Thank you for. I messed up. Mody, thanks for being here, man. We love having you. For the most,
Absolutely.
man. The journey, the grind, the hustle.
Yeah.
You know what it is. I've known you for a minute. This guy's met you now.
You're my brother now, because you're his brother.
So we
that's how it works.
appreciate it.
Appreciate you.
I'm pretty sure the audience enjoyed episode 2.
Hope so.
The journey was amazing.
Yes, it is.
And more to come, obviously, because you're a man of many things. Alhamdulillah.
Alhamdulillah.
Just want to give a thanks to the team in the back, guys. As always, we love you guys. Shout out to Workington. You know what it is.
Cut the day in the building.
If you're entrepreneur, give a shout out to Workington. As
okay.
always, man.
All right,
Come on.
all right.
Our boy Mody right here is the
Yes.
ambassador for entrepreneurs.
Yes, it is.
So for
Serial
those entrepreneurs,
entrepreneur.
check out Workington, inshallah.
Yeah.
And then as always, thanks to Qatar Day.
Yes.
And we are
Expat Bros.
Signing out.
Masalama.
Take care, guys. Assalamu alaikum.
Camera bomb.
Which camera? Boom, boom, boom.